Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Grieving Sisters. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, I'm Jessica and this is Liz.
Yeah,
The same duo at this
you should
point.
know us by now.
No,
You should
seriously.
know us by now. And this is a very special in between episode season of the Grieving Sisters. We are joined by Annette from Good Grief. Good Grief is a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting children, teens, and families through the journey of loss. They explore how grief impacts young people and all the powerful ways that communities can come together to foster resilience, healing, and hope. Annette, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Annette. And I'm just
Thank you.
so excited
Thank you
to
so
speak
much for
to
having
you because, we're Jersey girls here and you guys are in New Jersey as well. So, I think this is definitely, one of one of the critiques that we got were that we weren't giving enough resources. So now they
me.
have this resource. So go ahead, take the floor. I can't wait so, you can talk about it and then I can tell everyone about my experience going to Good Grief.
Oh yeah. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me, both of you. When I got the invite, I was so incredibly excited. I didn't even read the rest of it. I was just like, yes, yes, yes. And I was like, wait, what day is it? Can I go? So thank
Yeah.
you so much for having me. I absolutely love talking about Good Grief. I know a lot of times, people will hear our name and they're like, Good Grief. Like, is grief ever good? But we
Yeah.
like to say that yes, if processed properly, grief can actually be good, right? So at our organization, we really, like you said, we build resilience in children, we strengthen the families, and we try to help the community as a whole grow from loss and adversity, right? But what sets us apart is that we believe that healing doesn't come from fixing the pain, right? It really comes from feeling it, right? From going through it. I'm a former educator, so I always have like these little sayings that I that I used to often tell parents and other teachers. Um, these kids are at an age where they don't even have the vocabulary to really understand what it is that they're feeling. So at Good Grief, we give them an opportunity to not only name their emotions but tame it. So I like to say you have to name it in order to tame it, right? We have to feel it in order to heal it, right? I'm chock full of those. Um,
I
and
love
although our
it.
program and even though our program is really focused on children and teens, we know that grief is a familial experience, right? It goes through the entire family. Sometimes it could be like a cousin or an aunt and you have a nephew who's really having a hard time, right? So we try to make sure that our parents and our caregivers have support as well. We offer free, and I always like to pause there because nothing is ever free, but we offer 100% free peer support for children and teens. And we start at the
Just
age of
me.
3. As long as they're potty trained, they can come to us. And we go all the way into young adulthood. Um, we're kid centered. However, we do offer a child loss group. We offer a spousal loss group for adults and a caregivers group. So those are the 3 groups where we have adults coming, and the child loss group is the only group that doesn't need to necessarily have a Good Grief kid.
Got
Um,
it.
yeah, and so we really just create these spaces where these kids can be messy and sad and funny and confused and just all those things without being told that they have to move forward, move on, or get over it. And we do
Right.
that in our in 2 centers. We do one in Princeton and another one in Morristown. Just recently, we've
Right.
expanded, and we are offering in community support to the people in Manville, I believe is where we have it. So yeah, we do a lot of
Oh,
different things.
yeah. I love that. I love that. And I want you to talk about a little bit, you know, what activities, what things that you guys do, because I know when I went there, it was about 11 years ago, and we had a representative come speak at the high school and everybody was in tears and they were like, we can't have them come back here again because like some people have lost their parents and stuff like that, so they weren't really ready for this
Hmm.
conversation. They didn't know what this professional development was going to be about. But when I went there, my stepdad passed the day before, but I had to come for school. So
Hmm.
I literally went down there. Do you guys still have the anger room? There's
Yes,
different
we
rooms.
do.
So,
Yes, so
Oh
we
my
have
goodness.
different rooms. I can tell you about that. So we
okay, go
have,
ahead. Go,
which
go, go, go.
I think every job should have a rage room, right? I think
Yes.
everyone should have that. So that
Agreed.
room, particularly, all the walls are padded. We have a like punching bags hanging from the ceilings. We have, soft snowballs, and sometimes grief manifests itself in rage, right? You're angry. You're angry that your person is
Right.
gone. You're angry that you're here by yourself. And so we allow them that opportunity to process that. They go in there and they go to town. I mean,
Mm.
we'll have kids kicking and punching, and they'll come out of there and they're like, and it's a great feeling, because don't we all need that sometimes? Don't we all have that moment
Mhm.
where we're just like, I need to yell, or I need to scream, or I need to hit something. And as adults, we're like, no, you can't. But at Good Grief, yeah, they can. We also have
Right.
a hospital room. Everything is hospital grade. That's for those kids and those young kids who have been in the hospital, and everything is like pristine and you can't touch it, and there's beeping going on everywhere, and it's very nerve-wracking. So we have that in our hospital room, but it's a safe space. So you can touch everything. There's a hospital bed in there, that we have the paddles in there. We have insurance forms. We have all kinds of things. And that's a way that our kids process their grief. We also have another room where there's a sand table. Sometimes the kids
Mm.
make little burials or make little funerals and things like that. Yeah, so we have many
Do you have the
different rooms
jamming
where they can
room?
go and
Do you
process.
have the drum room where you guys were
Yes,
jamming?
yes, we do. However, now the kids can actually plug in and we can hear everything that's going on around us. Because before we didn't
That's
have that, but now,
amazing.
yeah, now they just plug in and they're the ones that can hear it.
What an amazing resource, because
Yeah.
sometimes children don't know what makes them feel better.
Right.
Yes.
Oh,
You
they have
know?
pizza parties too.
Like,
Once
because
a week pizza parties.
because
Who
like
doesn't love
I
pizza?
don't know if, like music helps
Right.
more than doing something physical
Oh, there's so
helps,
many rooms.
or
Oh,
something,
yes, we offer the adults and the kids that come to our centers many different ways that they can process the topic that we're talking about that night, because every night we have like a theme, so to speak. And I know you said pizza nights. What we do is we offer our families dinner when they come to our nights of support, because that's one less
Mhm.
thing that they have to worry about. So they come to our nights of
Mhm.
support, they have their pizza, they connect with people that are going through the experience that they're going through, and then they go on into their different rooms. So like, we have different different ages for different rooms. Our teens have their own center because they're too cool to be with us. So our teens and middle schoolers, they have a separate space. We really try to meet every single individual where they are, and help them process
Right.
that way.
Sure.
Something you said about the hospital room, I was thinking we've touched in previous episodes on anticipatory grief.
Yes.
And I think that if somebody is going through, a parent or a family member with terminal illness,
That was me.
right?
Yeah, my
Like,
dad.
a hospital can be very, very scary.
Yeah.
So then being
Yes.
able to come into your location and see a hospital setting and it not feel so scary
Yeah.
and feel a little bit
Mhm.
familiar, then they can walk in and feel really comfortable sitting with their caretaker, or whoever it is that is going through some sort of treatment and things
Yeah.
like that. What an
Yeah.
amazing resource.
It's funny because it is
No.
so less scary to go into that hospital room, and there is where our facilitators notice just what the kids are hearing, right? Sometimes we think we are covering it so good and they have no idea what's going on, and man, they are listening. We had one child who was like, all right, sorry, you're dead, you owe too much insurance. And it's like, oh my goodness, they must have been talking about insurance, and this child thinks this
About
person
costs and
died
These
because it's
kids there.
right. So we, noticing those things is something that I'm very proud of our program team, because they really know how to not only train our volunteers, but really help them help the folks that come to our centers, right? So even something as simple as catching that, you might not catch it right away, but our facilitators do, and they're like, oh, tell me more, tell me more about this, and how did that make you feel? Like, a lot of open-ended questions to kind of help them get to where they want to go in a safe way.
Right. Another thing I noticed on your website, because now, like, you guys are booming, you know, and I know it's a not-for-profit organization. The tours, you guys give tours too, correct?
We do. We do give tours in our Morristown and in our Princeton location. And I'll give you my information after this. Anyone, any, corporate organization, because since we've been open, we've moved into different avenues. Now we just don't offer nights of supports. Now we also offer education, right? So we go into different schools and train folks and make sure that they're more grief informed, more trauma informed. We've gone into the funeral industry to kind of help those people, like, hey, if you have kids, this is a plan that you could do. Here are brochures if anyone wants them. We've done we're doing a thing with the Ronald McDonald House now, where we're training their folks across the country and across the board. So we're really putting ourselves in little places where grief was never discussed before. And to your point earlier, where we go into schools and sometimes we have, adults who are angry with us, like, I didn't come here to cry, or I didn't come here for that. And because we are so trained in this grief and what we do it with heart, with passion, and with empathy. We help them to see, like, when you're helping someone through grief, you have to recognize your own relationship with it, right? Because you can't put a timeline, or you can't put your own belief system on how grief should go on someone else. While grief is extremely universal, it is a very personal experience, right? And you might process it in a way that is different from me, right? And I try to explain that to them before every workshop, like, pay attention to your body, be compassionately curious, right? Don't be so hard on yourself. We were talking earlier before we started how, when someone cries, it makes us uncomfortable, right? We want to, like, rush and, like, fix it. Like, here's some tissue. Okay, stop, please. But it's not their crying that's bothering you, right? It's that you're about to cry, or you're about to feel something. And you're not ready for that.
Right. You're shifting the blame.
Yeah. So I try my best, every time I get to talk to folks, to let them know, like, there's this beautiful duality that can happen, right? You can be sad and happy at the same time, right? Telling stories of our person is how we keep them alive. At Good Grief, we call that continuing bonds. And a lot of times folks will think, oh, but if I share a memory or I talk about my person, then, I'm being stuck in the past. And we try to explain to them, no, it's about carrying these people you love forward with you, right?
Right.
And I know a lot of times people are like, oh, it's so sad, and it must be so hard. And I try to say to them, there's so much joy that happens in our centers. Like, you hear laughter, you hear joy. Yes, there's some sadness that's mixed in there. But it reminds them, hey, your person was full of life. Your person was real, right? They're not just lost. And it really gives these kids permission to celebrate and to mourn all at once, right? And I think there's something so beautiful about that.
Something that we say all the time is how much we can learn from children.
Yes, they are so resilient.
They are the best teachers. I'll share something quickly that happened today. Me and Jess were talking. I went to a Sephora with my daughter. We weren't supposed to be in Sephora. We were supposed to be at a football game, but it was rained out. And so we ended up going to Sephora. And my sister has passed 5 months ago. And she was really big on perfumes, loved perfumes. Mm-hmm. So my daughter recognized one of the perfumes that my sister used to wear. Now, I wasn't familiar with this particular one. I'm used to smelling some of her other fragrances, and I'm okay. But this particular one, I smelled it. I saw my smiled like, oh, Tita, you smell like this. And I was like, oh, finding joy in grief. Like, what a beautiful thing. And I walked up behind her and I grabbed it, and she went to go look at lip glosses or something. And I cried for like a good 15 minutes straight. Yeah. I could not stop crying. And I was like, I took a picture, I sent it to Jess, and I was like, note to self, do not smell Natalie's perfume.
And I said to her, Sephora. It's too soon. Too soon.
But then I found myself apologizing to my daughter. And I was like, I'm sorry. And she was like, Mom, it's okay. It's okay. And I said, no, we were having such a good time. We were having so much fun. And now I can't stop crying. And I'm sorry, I can't stop. And then I contained myself and I said, didn't you want to see something with this makeup brand? Because I knew it was on the other side of the store. So I was trying to send her away so that she wouldn't be affected or triggered by my pain. But like, what a lesson. She came and she put her hands on me and she was like, it's okay. It's okay. And I said, but we were having so much fun. And she goes, you can cry and we can go back. I'm going to cry.
Oh,
She's like, you can cry and we can go back to having fun. This is the first time I've cried on this podcast.
Beautiful.
This is the first time.
That is so unbelievably beautiful. I say the same things. I say, you know how people say, you know, out of the mouth of babes, right? The children that come to our centers and the young adults that come, they say the most hilarious, unhinged stuff. And I sometimes I'm like, oh my God, did you really just say that? You know? But that's what's so beautiful about what we offer, right? It's a space where you don't have to have this fit nicely in a little bow and have this list of questions where you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to say. And, you know, sometimes like our middle schoolers say, right, grief just sucks. And they say that. They're like, it just sucks. We don't want to hear I'm sorry. We don't want to hear it's going to get better. You know, we don't, it just sucks. And sometimes it does. It just sucks, right? And I think we live in a world where we're fixers. We're constantly wanting to fix things, right? Oh, the baby's crying. We'll pick them up, burp them, feed them, pat them. You know, oh, she fell. Run over there and give her a Band-Aid. And what I like to explain to folks is that the best way that we can support kids that are going through grief is to stop trying to fix them. There's nothing broken in them. Absolutely nothing broken in them. You know, I joke around because I'm a huge Super Mario Brothers fan, right? And I always say, stop trying to be the grief plumber. Right? Just stop. You don't need to fix this leak.
Yeah.
You don't need to fix the leak that's happening. You know, you just need to sit there and maybe hand them a towel if they want it, right? And just listen to them. Listen. And it's a perfect example of what your daughter did. She listened to you. She didn't rush you toward any, you know, happy thought or, like we say at Good Grief, silver lining it, right? She let you be exactly where you were and she met you there, right? That's real support. That's real support. Showing up again and again without expecting them to feel better on your grief timeline, because it's not yours, it's theirs, right? I always say, you know, connection over correction always, right? Connect. I think that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. That made my night.
Thank you for that feedback, because I couldn't really articulate like, it's the timing of this is divine. And it's just like I couldn't really articulate what she did. And I honestly was just like so in my own grief that I didn't really reflect on it until we got here and we're talking about it. And I'm just like, yeah, man.
What's your sister's name?
Natalie.
That's beautiful. And I'm sure she would be so incredibly proud of what
And if you could see it, that's her picture in the back. And then this is my brother behind me. So, and behind.
She looks so much like you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's times that I'm like, I look at her and I'm like, oh my God, this is Nat. Yeah. Like, you know, and I have to kind of like look away because, you know, I knew Nat growing up. Right. So it's like, I got to look away sometimes because I'm like, she puts these faces and I'm like, oh my God, so many people say it, like they've heard the podcast and they're like, there are certain times where the Jersey comes out of you. And we are just so like, we remember Natalie so much because she was such a Jersey girl. And like, she traveled all over the place in the Navy. So a lot of people who haven't been exposed to like Jersey girls were like, oh my God, you guys are like, people were just like, I could close my eyes and you guys sound exactly the same. Yeah. We were very close. So.
The title of your podcast really, really struck me, right? And now I'm about to cry. But this is the part about grief, right? That, you know, it's not always easy to put into words, even when you like live with it every day. But my sister she's 5 years older than me. We're very close, and she was just diagnosed with HER2 triple positive breast cancer. And it's a pretty aggressive cancer, and you know, she is this pillar of strength that I can't even put into words, right? Like if my sister is a force to be reckoned with, right? Like if she says jump, everybody's like, oh, okay, right? She's like a business administrator. She's amazing. And to see her like not be this strong pillar of strength, it was hard. I mean, so incredibly hard for me. And I'm a jokester. Like, I laugh at the most inappropriate times. I say
Yeah.
jokes and people are like, what? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm just silly, you know? And I knew that she needed that. I knew that she needed that, especially going through her chemo. And I would just, you know, put my I guess sadness aside, and I would crack jokes. And just the other day, I'm just sitting, you know, on my couch, and I'm watching this show because, you know, we're from Puerto Rico and we're watching a novela, and it reminded me of her, and I just started bawling, and I had no idea. And my sister's not, you know, she's not dead. She's fighting this cancer as best she can. I'm hopeful, but I'm also a realist, right? But I just could not stop crying, and I thought to myself, man, this is so hard. And an email pops up, and it said Grieving Sisters, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, if this is not
my gosh,
the
my hair's
most,
standing up.
like, I got chills,
Divine
and I
timing.
started crying even more because I was like, oh my gosh, because I said, you know, I don't know if I could do it. It's, you know, I'm really helping her through this, and I want to represent Good Grief in the best professional way as I can. And as soon as your title came up, I was like, no, I have to, like, this, I have to.
Oh my God, thank you for sharing that. And you know, I got to tell you, even when the name came to me, I said, hey Liz, I think I got the name. She goes, what? I go, the Grieving Sisters. She's like, shut up, you got it.
It was perfect.
It was
Yeah.
just, and that's exactly what it is. You know? Oh my goodness.
Because it's not only like that we were their sisters, but it's like we are sisters in grief.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
we're sisters in grief. And it's also like a sisterhood, you know,
Yeah.
like it's, I mean, we have our subscribers are equally male and female.
Right.
But it's just so nice to be able to like feel this sisterhood,
the safe community.
this safe
Yeah,
community.
and that's it. And just somewhere to talk. So I wanted to ask you, Annette, before we start to wrap up, how can we? I know we had like 1,000 questions for you, but this just was so
This
perfect.
was so organic. It was great.
Yeah, I love this, and we love speaking to you. We can't, you know, I would love to have you on some more. Actually, I wouldn't even mind that. And could you be able to tell our listeners where to find you? Just give some information. Instagram account. I think I follow you guys too.
Yes,
I'll
we do have an
repost
Instagram
as well.
account. They can always go to our website, right, which is www.good-grief.org. Sometimes when you put in Good Grief, the movie with, I forget his name, but he's from that show Schitt's Creek comes up. We are not the movie. We're the organization.
Oh, yes.
In Morristown, we're at 38 Elm Street. We have that big sign on the front that says volunteers wanted. And they can always email me as well. I will have no problem connecting them, not only to resources, but to different parts of our organization where they can find the answers that they need.
Oh, wow. And it's open to everyone, correct? Like family, like, and just to confirm with you, because I remember going there, and say if a family wants to go there for 1 week, they don't have to return the next week. Like, it's not like a mandatory thing. Is that still like that?
Yeah. Like they can come, excuse me, for as long as they want or as short as they want, right? I don't think right now in Morristown, I'd have to check because I'm more on the education side than the Nights of Support. But I don't think, unless there's a waiting list, I don't believe that there is an issue, but please don't quote me on that because I would have to check with our Night of Support folks. But our program team has an amazing and extensive list of resources. So, you know, you might come and you might do a tour and you might think, this is not for me, right? Sometimes kids don't want to, and we can't force a child to come, right? So if you come and you realize it's not for you, someone from our programs department will send you a list of resources where you can go. So it doesn't hurt to reach out to us. It doesn't hurt to take a tour, and it doesn't hurt to see if Good Grief is a good fit for your child and your family.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Again. Thank you so much. And thank you for, you know, just for all this information. And again, we hope to have you back on again. This is just phenomenal.
I would love to. I just want to say to your listeners before we head out, you know, I get a lot of people asking, like, you know, how can we support kids, you know, in our own community? And it's really, really important. First, don't be weird about it. Right? Don't be weird about it. Don't come with, like, you know, those faces where you're like, hi, you know, they hate that. They
Right.
don't like that. They don't want that at all. They also don't want you to avoid them because you're afraid of saying the wrong thing, right?
Right.
Kids
Right.
would rather you say something really, as my kids say, cringe and awkward than nothing at all,
Right. Mm,
right?
right.
And the last thing that I want to say, that what I have learned personally from working with Good Grief and working with grieving children and families, is that grief is not either or, right?
Right.
It's both
Right.
and, right? You
Mhm.
can laugh in one breath and you can cry in the next, right? You could be brave and terrified at the same time, right? Like I was saying
Right.
earlier about my own sister, right? So
Right.
working with grieving kids has really shown me that resilience isn't about getting over anything, right? It's really about building this life that holds sadness
Mhm.
and holds joy at the same time.
That's it. Grief and joy. That's
Grief and
exactly.
joy.
That's
I
it.
would love to come back, absolutely, and I'm sure that my colleagues would love to come back as well, and
Oh, that would
just
be
discuss. I
awesome.
mean, it's something that we're extremely passionate about. We're very passionate, compassionate, and empathetic. Like I absolutely love our organization and what we do.
We love it. Love, love, love. Thank you again so much,
Yes,
Thank
thank
Annette.
you.
you. Thank you
For
so
our
much for having me.
Of course. And thank you for our listeners to
What a
checking in.
treat.
This
What a
is a
treat we
treat.
were able to give in between seasons. Thank
And
you
you
so
broke.
much.
You
Yeah.
broke. I didn't
I
break yet.
finally
Took me some
finally got the tears going.
She only broke once when it was
Tears are very healing. That's great. That's
listen.
wonderful.
That's
A
true.
toddler will keep you present. You can't, there's no tears in front of her. Mama, why you sad?
Right.
No. But thank
It's okay. He can see you when you're sad. Kids
Yeah.
have a wonderful way of really getting it. Like I used to, I was telling you guys earlier, my culture, crying was just like, no, you don't do that,
Strong.
and I'm completely the opposite with my kids, right? I'm like, it's okay if you can cry, to the point where they're like, Mom, I'm good. I really don't want to cry. It's okay.
We're
I'm
good.
like, but it's okay if you want to.
Let it out. Let it out. And they're like, I just want you to
let it
close
out.
my door.
Yeah. Well, I want our listeners to go ahead and check us out. We're going to be, this is in between seasons. So now you do have some resources. You can contact Annette, and then, we'll post all their
I'll share
information.
my email address with you all, and I'm really good with email. So if anyone that emails me, trust you will get a
Yes, you
response.
are.
It is me. I'm quick.
Excellent.
Because on top of grieving, I'm not going to make you wait. This is one of those things that you're not going to have to wait when it comes to an answer. When it comes to, if I don't have it, I'll give it. I'll find it, but you won't wait.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank the listeners so much for listening The Grieving Sisters. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcast. Follow us on TikTok and on Instagram. And thank you again. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.